Hello everybody and welcome to this tutorial about doing a blood splash in Houdini and have it inside Unity using Vertex Animation Texture. So this is what we're going to do, and yeah, it's a Vertex Animation Texture, and let's get started. So first we're going to open an empty scene. Actually, I'm going to open this scene where I have the last tutorial. I'm just going to place it next to it because it's the same kind of technique, but we're going to have a blood splash over here. No, actually, I'm actually going to make a new scene for it. So we're going to have blood splash. Cool. I will just remove this. So here it's going to be a blood splash. So we're going to have a spear in the middle in Houdini, of course. And this is where the blood gonna kind of explode from. And I'm actually gonna, I tend to like this shape instead. It seems, instead of this one, I really like to use polygon instead because the polygon mesh resolution is more even. And we're going to add a point velocity like this and add velocity. So at the moment we don't have any velocity here, and if we check here we add velocity. So if we do the I, then we can click on this V. And what happened? Then we visualize the velocity. But as for now, the velocity is 0, 0, 0, 0. So they don't show anything because it's 0. So if we add it here, and for instance do like this, 1, it should be showing up. Okay. So if you press this one and it's not showing up, you can press this button here and you see it. So if I'm going to check if we remove add velocity, but we just add curl noise. Okay, that works. So we're going to work with this one. So this is going to make a random kind of organized random pattern. And what I mean with organized, it's kind of a wave. You see there's kind of uniform pattern here. So it's not like one point, one direction, and the next one some completely other. It's following a noise. And this is good because then it's going to make some kind of nice splash. So we're actually going to have, okay, we're going to make it minimal. So we do a flip container like this. So this container is where the simulation going to happen. And we can just change the size here if we want. I'm going to keep it 10, 10, 10. And we're going to have a flip boundary. Sorry. So this going to go in here like this. And the point's going to go inside here. So now you can see that there is some kind of representation where we're going to spawn the fluid or particles. So if we just plug this into the flip solver like this, you can see the points gonna animate and simulate. And I don't want to have any gravity on these ones, and we can change it here in the flip container. So I'm going to remove the gravity and resimulate it, and then you see it's kind of going outwards in all directions. And I want some more resolution to this one. Actually, I'm going to make a bigger No, I'm gonna keep the size, but I'm gonna do the particle separation is giving us more resolution if we dial it down. So now you can see if we remove the velocity, you see it's more points. And now you see it's coming more. But the sphere is always there. So that means it will always emit particles. And we only want it to do once. So what we can do, if we have frame 0, and then we do the uniform scale 0, and if we do Alt left click in this one, then we do frame 2, then we do 1 here, and Alt left click, and then on frame 3 we scale it down to 0 and do Alt left click. Then we have 0, 1, 3. Well, 1, 2, 3. So now it's only gonna emit particles on frame 2. And I don't like that. I'm actually gonna delete the first frame and gonna move with the mouse middle click and just moving those keyframed in uniform scale. So the first frame gonna be 1 and the second frame gonna be 0 scale. So that means we're only gonna have particles during the first frame, and if we do play, you see there is no sphere in the middle. So this is cool, but we want more power to it. So in the point velocity, we're gonna have the scale on the velocity to be really high. So let's do 10. And maybe that's way too strong. Let's see. So let's remove the velocity and play it. Yeah, so this is actually looking pretty good. This is what we're after. So if we do a particle fluid surface, this one, then we have some kind of surface going on here. So this is nice. This is exactly what we want. Now this can be tweaking, and we can go in here and we can change the velocity. Maybe we want swirl size to be really small or big, and we want to offset it. We can have different variations. I'm going to leave that one up to you, so you can experiment, but and you can get so many different results, and changing the velocity scale and so on. But this is good for showing the technique. So let's see what's happened. So I'm actually gonna make a color to this one, and of course it's gonna be red. And we're gonna be dramatic, so I do the background. So if I'm in here and I press D, I get the display options, and I do background, and I do dark, and also remove the grid somewhere here, and also I want to see it in smooth shaded. So now we can actually make a flipbook and see how it looks. So I do here, if I right click, flipbook with new settings, and actually it's gonna start at frame 0 and end at 24. It's just gonna be a 24-ish animation, and I do start, then I let it work through and render. render. I'm gonna pause until it's finished. So it's finished, and what we have is this one. So it looks, yeah, it looks okay, I guess, compared to the work we've done. I mean, if we tweak this for hours, we can have it look really good. And of course, tweaking with resolution and grid scale, it says if you hover the mouse over here, it says you can lower it to get more nicer results and so forth. But I'm gonna stay it with this result for now. And also on frame 24, I want the particles to kind of already disappear here. So I want to use the setup that I made in the last tutorial, where we kill the particles when it's over a certain age. So I'm actually gonna do that this time too. Maybe a mix with age and distance from the center would be a better mix, but that's gonna take... I haven't really prepared for that, so I don't know how much time that would be, but I'm gonna show you in the flip solver how to delete the particles after the age. So first thing is we need to have particles, so all the particles points in here, there are these points that have these kind of values. Velocity that we manually added, but we also need to add in the flip container attributes, add age attribute, and now we have the age in here. So now we can look for the age, and when the age is above a certain threshold, it's going to be deleted. Now all these particles going to have the same age. So, and also we need the ID as well. So what we're going to do, we're going to go inside here and do a wrangler, pop wrangler, put it in here. And then we're going to make a min and max slider. So a min and max slider, let's say a min slider, let's start from 12, and max slider 24 frames. So, but I'm going to do it in seconds. So float min is equal a channel float min, and a float max is a channel max. So now if we do this 0.5 and the other one, then it's a half a second and a whole second. And then we're going to do a float value, and that value is going to be randomized between 0 and 1. And the value it's going to use for this is the particle ID that we also added where, at the same place where we added the age. So then all the points going to have the ID not the same. They're going to have a random, so everybody going to have a random value. That's what I'm trying to say. And the value is between 0 and 1. So we're going to make it remapped. So we're going to take the value and remap it from 0 to 1, where it's from. The new minimum going to be min, and the new max going to be max, of course. And then we do if the age is more than the value, then we're going to do remove point, and we're going to do it in what node? Well, this node. Well, actually, this input node here. And it's going to be what number to remove? Well, the number that we are doing this script on. So now you see it can start at 11, they all going to exist, and from 12 they're going to start disappear. So over here there will not be so many left. So you see here it's kind of removes more and more and more, just to make the transition easier. So I'm actually gonna do a split pane, left, right, and I'm gonna pin this one, and they're gonna go out here. And then I'm gonna do detail wrangler, attribute wrangler, and then it's gonna be over details. That's very important. And then I'm just gonna actually, let's try this should work. So if I have this this node here, I'm gonna call it controller, and I do this cog. Well, is it like this? Type properties? No, it's the cogwheel, edit parameter interface. And if I just take the min one, no, didn't work. I don't remember. It was a long time I did this. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy these into here, and then I'm just gonna make these ones, right click here, copy parameter, and paste to the min, paste relative reference to the min. And at the max, I'm going to do copy parameter, and then max, paste relative reference, and then we have it working. So what if you didn't really follow what I did, this controller, this green one, is having these settings. And if we go inside here, this one is these settings. So I just make sure that these ones are copying what's happening here. So now when we have this one, we can again simulate, but I'm going to make sure that our particles, and we need to unpin here. So now it's showing the correct controller one, this one, right? So I'm gonna kill them pretty quickly here, I think. So if we do a simulation again. So there is something not really working as intended. So you see here, something happened. This one is referring correctly, but when I pasted, the one accidentally became in before. So the connection doesn't really work. So I need to remove the one here. And now we see it happens something. So if we just simulate again, and now it should start disappear. So what I'm doing is I want the splash to only be a half second, right? And if we do it here, we do a mesh with it like this. And this is also important. We need to convert to surface polygon. Because if you mouse middle click here, you see it's only one primitive, right? And so yeah, it's only one primitive, all this and a lot of points, and we want it to be surface polygons. And if we middle mouse click, you see now there's a lot of primitives. So this is the way we want it to be. And the color is just for visualization in here. And also we're gonna make a transform node. And why I do this one is because the simulation can't exceed some kind of bounds. I don't know where the bug, or if it's a bug or a way of thinking, maybe more correctly to say. But I scale it down to make it work. And then I scale it up 100 times in Unity, just to compensate for the problem. I can show what's actually happened before simulation, so you see what I'm talking about. So let's say we're happy with this one, and I'm actually gonna do remesh, well, actually poly reduce, because on frame, let's say frame 8, it's 33,000 primitives. That's a lot. And on this poly reduce, we can actually target percent to keep. But if we change the target to output polygon count, then we always cap it to 10,000. So now it will never be more than 10,000. So I will go for that. And then we're gonna have a ROP network down here. And I'm gonna copy this node because I'm copy. I'm gonna show you why later. And then I go into this ROPNet. And here I do VAT, Labs Vertex Animation Textures. So, and with this one, we need to change some stuff. I'm going to change this to not rigid body, but dynamic remeshing, like fluid. And it's going to be for Unity. And we're going to have the input is not geometry cached. So we're going to untick this one. And this we're going to leave as it is. And the input, export. Oh yeah, so the input geometry. Here I'm going to paste the node that I copied outside here. Or if you know the name of your node, you can do this one. And it's out simulation 1. So it's a good thing to always put names on your stuff. And the export path is here. I have it saved in my Unity folder because I'm actually opened an old Houdini file I worked in. And I'm just gonna have it saved next to the HIP file. And the asset name gonna be blood splash. We are not gonna export colors. We're gonna export positions and rotation. And we are not gonna export it in subdirectories. I want everything in the same folder. So this is the export path and the name. And the advanced, we leave these two, we also just leave as it is. And this should work. So I'm gonna we're gonna render it 2 times, first pass and second pass. So I'm gonna press render and pause. So it's done, and it took almost a minute. Of course, it's a lot of things to calculate. And if you're doing a heavy simulation, you can expect a lot of time. So maybe you should consider caching if you do it, but keep it really simple in the beginning. So 1 minute the first pass, and the second pass we're going to also render. So the second one pass is finished. So let's see in here, and we have the blood splash things here. So these 3 is textures, and they need to be set up in a certain order. So if you imported side effects, Vertex Animation Texture packages, then you just press this slider button here, and we do the preset HDR and apply, and then we have them the correct way. Also do the mesh the same way. We're gonna have the VAT FBX apply. So if we add the blood splash here, you see it's imported. A lot of triangles, and the mesh, we're gonna have this material that's also created. And the last thing, this material needs the blood splash lookup table here. We also need a blood splash position texture here. And the rotation in the rotation texture. So I was expecting this one to bug out, but it seems to work. And so I guess that's good. But if this doesn't at all look as intended, what you could do, because it's almost always happened for me, is that you, when you have this mesh here, you just downscale it. Well, you can try 10 times first. And if that doesn't work, you can do, depending on how big or whatever causes it is, you just scale it down and plug it like this. But now it worked without scaling. And then in here, you just make sure you scale it up the same amount as you scale it down. And then you have it, the problem solved. So the last part, we're just gonna add some blood color to this. And you see, yeah, let's do play speed 2. That seems more like blood splashes. So the side effects Vertex Animation Textures packages down here. In shaders, you have this dynamic remeshing. If we copy this one and we put it here, and we do blood splash, then we can just open this shader, and we can, in the color, base color, we just add a color, and we're going to make sure that this color is mode precision. No, where is it? Oh, maybe I don't need to set it. I was looking for setting it to an HDR color, but maybe it is default. I don't feel confused. Anywho, no, there's something. So, the color. Did I do right? There's something not. Color here. So this one, mode default, HDR, that's what I want. Maybe I did something wrong, I didn't notice. And then right click and convert to property color. And we just plug this one into the color. Okay, I made a float. I'm tired, I guess. So float, we have, well, a color. We have a color, and we're gonna make it red. And we're gonna save it. Go outside again, go into our scene, and because we have the shader created and it's based, if we look at the blood splash, it's actually this material is made from Side Effects Labs and the dynamic remeshing, and because it's made from the same shader and we change the shader here, all the old parameters is still kept, and we add it. So we have this color, and we can change to some bloodish, and here we have it. So I really hope you like this, and good luck with your vampire game or whatever you're gonna do. Cool. And yeah. Thank you so much for watching